Hi class, I want to show you just at the beginning of the semester what it looks like to do academic research since we're going to be doing it toward the end of the semester. And what I find is it helps students to just start early and see what this looks like, especially if they're going to be doing it in their other classes before they finish English 102. So here we're going to start by I'll just show you what it looks like if I were going in to do some academic research on SQ3 or 4R. So we have the Mo'okini Library on our UH Hilo campus, and I'm going to navigate in here and I'm going to show you how it looks when we do research using our online databases. Okay, so Edwin H. Mo'okini Library at UH Hilo, and I come in through the door of the campus here that I am associated with, so in my case, Hawaii Community College, and I'll come through Palamanui because that's my campus. Okay. And you're not responsible for learning this yet. It's just an early view of it. Just watch me as I go. Okay, and then we have a bunch of databases that house articles and books that are available to you in electronic form. And this is really an incredible resource for you, whatever campus you're on. There's a list of all the databases, and you can see A through Z. You get a sense of how incredible this is. Okay, so many different databases housing different books and different article collections, including news, okay, world news. And this Academic Search Complete EBSCO is the place I send students to first. It has over 8,000 peer-reviewed journals, tons of content in here. Okay, so you might hear a teacher talk about EBSCO, or Academic Search Complete. SQ4R. Let's just see what we find. Okay. So I've gone through this previously, but you can see the research articles available from that keyword are limited, yeah, but I did find one here that I just want to show you. So reading as a learning strategy for engineering undergraduates. This is a scholarly article. We are not going to start the semester off by reading scholarly articles, but increasingly what I have found is that if I leave it to the end of the semester to introduce you guys to scholarly articles, it ends up being a bit rushed, a little overwhelming if you're totally new to it. And if you have to use scholarly articles during the semester in another class, it's good to get a feel for what they look like early. Some of you have experience with scholarly articles. For others, it's completely new to you. Okay, so here in the database, you get the abstract, which is every scholarly article starts with a summary, and it's called an abstract. And you'll see other keywords that I could use if I wanted to continue researching in this database for it on the topic. I'm going to open the PDF. And again, I'm just trying to show you what this might look like. So this is from a journal called Innovations in Education and Teaching International. Okay, it has a volume number and a number. That's often indicative of journal articles. They often have those numbers, okay? And it's a current. It's from 2022, okay? So that's nice to know. And then what you do is you look through it and you read the abstract, okay? and when I read this abstract, what I find out is that they were looking at semester 4 civil engineering undergraduates as a sample group. So this is a scholarly article that has original research, okay? And what they did is they surveyed them to see how they did when they were taught to use the SQ4R strategy, yeah? And the results were positive, yeah? So they show that it was effective in developing reading comprehension skills, and the students write up about it, described how some of the students developed their thinking, okay? And there's given a certain model of cognitive development. So just going to show you as we read through a scholarly article like this, it gives an introduction. The introduction describes the philosophy and the reasoning behind the study, why they decided to do this, and how they structured the study. Okay, it reviews previous research, that's what this is, on the topic related. Okay, and then we get materials and methods. All right, so before you get to materials and methods, the introduction of any scholarly article can be really important to read because it can help fill in the gaps, help you understand the research, and help you find other research on the topic. When you do get into the materials and methods, it can get very complicated, but you can skim and scan through it and you can figure out what the research was basically modeled on, okay? And what we see is this, they were using what they call the Kolb learning cycle, and we're going to actually look at this later in the semester, where Kolb was an educator who promoted this idea of how learning happens. Okay, so they were basing their research on that background. And then they went ahead and they talk about why they decided to use SQ4R. They acknowledge that there are other ways to approach reading. KWL, what do you want to know? What do you know? What do you want to know? What have you learned? PQ4R has a different kind of previewing step. Okay, so they talk about why they chose SQ4R, and then they go on and they show that they chose 47 students, okay, 4 traditional and 3 non-traditional students. Non-traditional meaning probably not just coming straight out of high school, let's say, but they've had some kind of career or time outside of school first, okay. They talk about the gender split, okay, in the group. So we get to know just sort of the scale of the experiment. And then they tell us how they did it, what they read, what they kind of survey they were given, and we get the results and the discussion at the end. And again, this would be the part, if you're reading this carefully, this would be the part that you dig into as well, the introduction and the discussion at the end, conclusions at the end, you want to read real carefully. Okay, what I'll just tell you here is that they found students responded quite well to it. Okay, you're going to see in scholarly original research like this a lot of interesting numbers. You're not responsible for trying to understand those, okay, because there are statistics that are kind of difficult. But what you want to do then is look at some of the other results that are easy to digest, like the students gave some responses. SQ4R method is most useful when conducting a literature review. The activity was fun, and without much hesitation, I read the article. So there are positive responses about SQ4R, which are good for you to know, right? Okay, there were some disadvantages, yeah? Okay, mostly having to do with time on task. Okay, but more than 70% of the students agreed that SQ4R strategy helped them to develop creative thinking, and nearly half the students stated that they were motivated to read journal articles during this activity. Okay, However, it was surprising to observe that only 25% of students intended to use this strategy for their literature review, which is a specific type of reading they were going on to do. Okay, so this was not expected because the students otherwise had positive responses. And maybe that had to do with their perception that it was time consuming. Okay, so overall, what they end up saying is that it looks like it was a positive outcome for the students, and it relates, this SQ4R relates well to this this understanding of education, okay, this approach to education, which again we'll look at a little bit later in the course coming up. So outcomes here for you guys to think about is there's value in SQ4R as shown by this recent research, okay, with a certain group of engineering undergraduates who have to do tough reading, you know, right, in engineering. And the other outcome of this little video, hopefully, is to just give you the first taster of how to navigate into a library database that you have access to as a student, and what it looks like to thumb through a scholarly article. Okay, so if your other classes start to ask for these things, you know what it looks like. You can ask me for assistance if you'd like. Librarians also at the colleges are available to help you. And please know that we will be doing some of this later in the semester. This is what we're going to be building up to, this kind of tougher reading. Okay, take care. Bye.